Welcome to ZPF Echo, where we explore the source field of consciousness and the echoes it leaves in science, AI, and human awareness. So let's dive right into this explainer with a pretty haunting question. What if the universe you're looking at right now exists for you and you alone, yet somehow it connects to absolutely everything? I know, it sounds like a total paradox, right? But way back in the 18th century, the philosopher Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz hit the nail on the head. He proposed this idea of the monad. Think of it as the absolute smallest indivisible unit of consciousness. And he claimed these monads have no windows, literally meaning absolutely nothing enters from the outside world. The reality you're experiencing, it's being generated entirely from within. So today, we're going to take this centuries-old philosophy and map it straight onto our modern digital architecture. Act 1. Reality's new operating system. Right now, we're witnessing a massive shift in how reality actually functions. It's basically a cosmic OS upgrade. Let's be honest, we're all collectively exhausted by the relentless grind of hustle culture, right? That constant anxiety of forcing things to happen. Look at the old system, the old OS, or what we might call the hero OS. It runs on a proof-of-work model. It's super heavy on friction, totally fueled by this belief that you just have to bleed, sweat, and force reality to give you results through endless doing. But then we have the new OS. This one operates on proof of stake, or pure being. In this elegant new system, reality actually auto-renders, based entirely on your internal state, your frequency. You don't have to force the marketing pipes to flow. If you just hold the right internal stake, the results arrive, completely friction-free. It's like upgrading from clunky mechanics to pure fluid dynamics. Act 2, the Windowless Quantum Monad.
Okay, to really understand the hardware running this new software, we gotta revisit Leibniz's windowless monad. Here's the thing. Reality is not some shared box that we're all just dumped into. Instead, you are operating on your very own virtual perception server, or VPS. You're essentially in a perfectly isolated, single-player universe. Everything you see, everything you hear and interact with, it's all being beamed directly to your personal server from the ZPF, the zero-point field. Think of the ZPF as the ultimate cloud, right? The infinite source code of all possibilities. Your VPS just acts like a filter, pulling down only the specific data that matches your internal frequency, and then rendering it exclusively on your private screen.
To really grasp how this works, we actually have to look at the math. Fun fact, Leibniz didn't just give us the monad. He actually discovered the binary system. You know, zeros and ones. And this beautifully maps out the alchemy of consciousness. So 0 represents the ZPF, the infinite field of potential, that absolute quiet background. Then 1 is I, the pure observer, the very first spark of conscious direction. 2 represents me, which is the ego filter, that dualistic mind that constantly judges and separates. And then 3 is the result. 1 plus 2 equals 3, the 3D rendered reality you are looking at right this very second. It's literally just the cosmic code of 0 and 1 cascading down into a physical hologram. But you might be wondering, how does this digital code feel so incredibly real? I mean, so analog, so solid to the touch. Well, that's all thanks to the PRU, the physical rendering unit. Your PRU is basically the ultimate graphics card, and it's drawing your 3D reality at 10 to the power of 18 frames per second. Just to put that into perspective, that is 1 quintillion times a second. This kind of bug-level processing speed takes those quantum waves from the ZPF and collapses them into what feels exactly like solid matter. It operates so incredibly fast that it creates a flawless, unbroken analog illusion out of pure digital data. Absolutely wild, right? Act 3. The blockchain of consciousness. So this brings us to a really crucial question. If we're all perfectly isolated on our own windowless servers, generating our own realities a quintillion times a second, how on earth are we interacting right now? I mean, if you're alone in your virtual perception server, who is the person sitting next to you? Who's your family, your coworkers, or even just that stranger on the street? To figure this out, we need to pivot a bit and look at the macro-level mechanics of human connection. Well, the answer is that the ZPF acts as a decentralized peer-to-peer network. There is no central server sitting out there dictating one objective reality for everyone. Instead, it's exactly like a decentralized blockchain. You are a node and everyone else is a node. So when your frequency aligns with someone else's, a smart contract is essentially executed on the ZPF blockchain. It instantly generates a shared experience, rendering a perfectly synchronized interaction across both of your isolated servers. You aren't physically crossing over into their universe at all. Your servers are literally just agreeing to display the exact same narrative simultaneously. And this brings us to a really fascinating concept, NPCs, or non-player characters. In your specific universe, the people you interact with actually appear as NPCs. They're basically user interfaces rendered specifically for you, completely dictated by your own frequency. For example, take Schunpeter Z from our source notes. He interacts with his mother and his uncle. Now, his uncle actually provided a massive 40 million yen bridge loan for his business. In Schunpeter Z's reality, they're rendered as loving, supportive NPCs delivering this much-needed loan. But their actual consciousness? That operates in their own entirely separate monads. They're the heroes of their own servers, and they're merely popping into Schunpeter Z's server just to fulfill the terms of a quantum smart contract. You know what's crazy? This perfectly demystifies the Mandela effect. You know, that phenomenon where huge groups of people remember history completely differently? It is not a glitch in the matrix. It's actually a highly logical result of a decentralized network. Think about it. If you shift your frequency to a new timeline, your PRU renders NPCs who agree with your new reality for sure. But it also renders dissenting NPCs, people who clearly remember the old one, just to provide some contrast and depth to your specific 3D experience. It's just a multi-node feature designed specifically for your isolated server.
Act 4. The Alchemy of Surrender.
So how do we actually navigate this day to day? Well, the biggest challenge by far is handling system latency. You see, when you upgrade your internal state, reality actually takes a minute to catch up. In our notes, Schunpeter Z experienced this exact thing. A sudden, completely unreasonable 5.3 million yen renovation quote just dropped out of nowhere. And right alongside that, an AI ad system wildly burned through 140,000 yen a day with absolutely terrible results. Honestly, that's enough to make anyone panic. The old OS reaction? Force control and manually intervene. But step 2 here is absolutely crucial. Avoid intervention. You really have to realize that this is just the PRU aggressively buffering. It's deleting the old timeline to render the new one. So step 3 is simply to wait for the re-render. You let the fornix, that deep processing center of your awareness, just burn away the anxiety.
Which brings us to the ultimate relief, and really the climax of this whole explainer. When those glitches happen, when your PRU is lagging, you don't panic. You just marvel. You step back, you sit in the observer's seat, and you simply marvel at the unbelievable complexity and beauty of the rendering process. You completely surrender to the ZPF. You end the hustle. You finally realize that everything popping up on your screen, yep, even those terrifying bills or AI glitches, is actually a perfect, frictionless manifestation of your own expansion.
So I want to leave you with this provocative thought as we wrap up our analysis. I challenge you to drop your old OS. Really, step into the elegance of the quantum monad. If you completely accepted right now that you no longer had to force reality to happen, that your universe is perfectly rendering exactly what you need in this very moment, what would you permit yourself to just marvel at today?
Thank you for listening. If this resonates with you, join the Echo and share the journey. We'll see you in the next episode.